Hi guys, Rich from Trackspark here. Hope you're all well and had a nice October. Um, Welcome to another little tutorial. This month is on, getting that full vocal sound, that nice wide, sort of thick, rounded um, vocal vocal finish. So without further ado, let's get on with it. This is just a project that I was been working on recently. It's for an advert, so please disregard the sort of cheesy vocals, cheesy lyrics, should I say? But I'll play you the tune and then talk you through what I've done, and hopefully there's a couple of bits in there that are useful for you. I'm sure there's like another million other sort of tutorials that sort of say this, say about getting a really sort of what is it, thick vocal tutorial or whatever, thick vocal trick or whatever. But I always find it's worth watching several because one, they might be out of date. Two, it might work for you better just in terms of the way you work. Or three, plugins that you like, even down to the DAW that you like. Not to say that you can't do any of this that I've done on any DAW, but there just might be subtle differences that work better for you. So I always find it's better to watch more than one on the same thing anyway. But I digress for a change. Let's get on with it. Let's listen to the tune. Oh, we're Right, so there we go. It's a bit of a sort of almost a little sort of cinematic, and it's got quite, it's got drums and guitars and strings, and it's quite lush. So a fairly sort of natural, if you want to use that word, natural sort of organic song rather than a dance tune, I guess, is what I'm getting at. Electronic tune. But anyway, so I'm just going to mute a few things here and then talk you through how I got that sort of finished vocal sound there. So let's play it without any of the stuff, so just the lead vocal. Oh, we're So, I mean, it still sounds alright, but obviously just a lot more sort of one-dimensional. So let's listen to the lead vocal on its own. This is me, by the way. Unfortunately, I did do this was written for female, and I did do a female version, but for some reason the client stuck with the male. This was like a guide vocal, but yeah, the client stuck with this one, believe it or not. So anyway, here's the lead vocal on its own. Let's see what I've done to it. Oh, we're calling. So it's quite echoey and reverby. And we're waiting for you to come by. So yeah, we're calling. So I've got this big sort of diffusion echo on it, this Replica XT, which gives it that massive sort of spacious and lush feel, and I've got this RC24 reverb on it. Oh, we're calling. But apart from that, well, that's what I've got. I've put a high pass, so I've got out all the lows, and there's quite a bit of presence going on here. I've got a couple of EQs on there as well. I've got this Neve 1073 as well, but we're not going to talk about all that today. So that's the lead vocal. So the first thing I'll do, I'm just going to put these back on. So the first thing I'll do in this instance is double track it. So here we go. I've literally it's exactly the same melody. So these sort of pink ones here, exactly the same octave, exactly the same melody, and I have panned this one hard left and number 2 hard right. I've grouped them through this double track here, this group channel here, and I've called it lead double tracks. So let's just listen to these on their own. We're calling, and we're waiting for you. Come by. So I've taken it. It sounds a little. Obviously sounds a little strange on its own, but they're there purely to give some really nice sort of stereo width to the main vocal, to the lead vocal, and I've taken out all the lows again, but I've taken out quite a lot of high end as well. So I've put a low pass on and a shelf here. So I've pulled it all out, and this EQ here. I've put another high pass here and pulled out some more of the highs at around 6.87, because the reason for doing that is I don't want them to interfere with the lead vocal at all. So I want them to sit behind it and just sort of give me that sort of wide, that width and that. So let's listen to them together. Oh, we're calling, and we're waiting for you to come by. So yeah, we're calling. I'm gonna put them back in. Oh, we're calling. So even with that massive sort of reverb and delay, you can still feel the width that those double tracks are creating. And there's other ways that you can create, that sort of width anyway. You could put some doubler on. You could put a really tight sort of slap. You could just forget the double tracks and put a really tight sort of slap back delay, stereo delay on your lead vocal, which could give you width as well. Also, a doubler here like this one, like this Waves doubler, which is really cool. But I find or chorus or cloner or anything like that. But I find those sort of instances can sound a little bit too electronic or robot-y. Not to say that I'd never use them. I do use them. It's just in this case, it obviously depends on the tune. So in this case, I wanted something slightly more natural sounding. So that's with the double tracks, and again the EQ, just so that they don't interfere, and they sit just behind it. I don't know if you noticed, I took a few of the sort of syllables out, so the t's and the s's, so that they don't clash as well with the main vocal. And then next is this sort of harmony line here that I've got in green. So let's have a listen to it on its own. Calling, and we're waiting for you. Come by. So again, I've just got a little bit of reverb on. I've got this RC24, which is doing exactly the same thing as the other RC sort of 24. And I've EQ'd out quite a lot of I've taken out quite a lot of the lows, because I don't need them. I don't want them to clash with the lead vocal in terms of the body of the vocal. But this time, in this case, I've EQ'd. I've given this harmony line slightly more presence. Normally, I would sort of around 3.5K and upwards. I would get rid of a bit of the presence, a bit at the top end, because I want it to again sit behind the vocal as it's just a backing vocal. But in this instance, I wanted this harmony line and the lead vocal line to work almost as a duet, so just two singers working together. So I gave it a little bit more presence and a little bit more volume than I usually would, yeah, because that's how I wanted this this vocal to work. And obviously, putting a harmony on is going to give it another layer of I don't know, lushness, I guess, or it's going to round off, give it a really nice lift for the chorus as well. So let's listen to the whole thing with the harmony in.
Oh, we're calling.
There we go. As you can hear, it was more of a, like I say, it was more of a duet it's more of a duet vibe than just a backing sort of vocal harmony. So that was the reason for that. And then finally down here in yellow, what I like to do a lot, and I think it really sort of gives it that sort of extra sort of finished roundness to the vocal, is I've done exactly the same melody line as the lead again, but I've done them an octave higher. So and that just sort of sits on top of everything. So let's listen to these. So it sounds a little bit weird on its own, but what I've actually done there is, because like I said before, it was meant for a female vocal, and this is me singing. I don't think I could sing that high. So what I've done is I've taken the double track and just copied them down here again and put them through a group channel, and I've put this pitch correct on them and pitched them up by an octave. I've also played around a little bit with the Foreman just to make them sound slightly more natural, although, you know, with nothing else there, they don't, you know, it sounds a bit unnatural to me. Again, I've taken out some of the sus and the tuz, just edited those syllables out because I don't want them to clash or get in the way of anything. And EQ wise, I've taken this sort of high pass filter right up high again because I don't need anything. All I want it to do is to sort of sit above, but again a little bit behind. I've taken some of the top off, look here, and I want it to sit behind still, above but behind, I guess. And it just adds that extra little touch, and makes it sound, you know, sort of gives it sort of a rounded finish. So let's listen to it with and without.
Oh, we're calling. And we're waiting for you to come by.
So let's take out those octaves, high octaves.
Oh, we're calling.
Although when you're listening to it with them in first, you can't really hear them, but when they're not there, you can certainly feel a bit of presence missing. So that's what they do. They're only subtle, but they make a big difference. So yeah, that's it. Now hope there was a couple of sort of things in there for you to take away from this. Yeah, thanks a lot. I'll speak to you next month. Cheers, guys. Bye.